Hi guys, Erin here. Here's our second video for week 1 of quantitative research methods. In this video, you're going to learn about the structure of the course, so what you're going to be learning in the lecture and seminar components, and we'll talk briefly about the major assignment, which is the research proposal. So this course is a methods course. You're going to be having both a lecture and a seminar component. You can think of the lecture component as where you learn course content and the seminar component as writing workshops where you can apply this content. The lectures are going to follow this textbook quite closely. I chose this textbook because I think it's fairly easy to read, gives lots of great relevant examples. It starts each chapter with learning objectives, which I think are a great way to focus and guide your learning. And it ends each chapter with practice problems, which I think are a great way to consolidate and apply what you've just learned. This textbook is available. You can buy either hard copy or soft copy. You could buy it with or without MindTap. The benefit of MindTap is that you've got even more problems to help apply and make your learning and make sure you understood the content. There's also a copy available in the library too, if you wish not to purchase it at all. So the course is going to follow the structure of this textbook, although in some weeks you're going to notice that the order of the chapters has changed, and I've done this based on what students have told me in previous years would best facilitate their learning. All of this learning is going to happen in what's called a flipped classroom approach. So I'd like to describe what that is by first explaining what it's not. So in a traditional classroom style, the instructor would prepare the slides for you right before class. You would then come to class very passively listening to the instructor, maybe taking some notes, maybe there'd be some time for a few questions or few activities, but not very much time. Then you would go home and you'd try to see if you could make sense of what you just learned and apply what you've learned with you doing practice problems, but at home and without support from the instructor. So we've got in this traditional model, 2 hours in class, mostly passive learning, very little support from the instructor. In a flipped classroom approach, however, we tease this learning apart and we flip it on its head. So the instructor makes these pre-recorded videos that you watch before coming to class. Then when you come to class, we've got a lot more time to talk about what you learned from those videos, what the main ideas are, what's maybe still unclear and that you'd like more information about, and we'll engage in a lot of discussion and activities where you can really talk about why this information is relevant and apply it to real world examples. So the amount of time that you actually spend in class or you spend learning is the same. We've got 2 hours. It's just where and when this happens is a little bit different. So in this flipped classroom approach, you're going to have these pre-recorded videos. There'll be about an hour in total each week, and you're going to watch them at home at a time that works best for you. So if you're a night person, you can watch them at night. If you're a morning person, you can watch them in the morning, and you can do it at a pace that works for you. So you can pause, you can rewind, you can make notes, you can sleep on it. You can think about what are some of the main ideas, what is still confusing, so that in class we can talk about it in more detail. We're going to have one class hour that is required for you to attend. So this will be the first hour in your schedule, where we'll talk about those main ideas and engage in activities. The second hour in your schedule is optional. You can think of this as an extended opportunity for learning. I found in the past when I've had office hours that students don't tend to come, probably doesn't work for their schedule, and it's really removed from the class. Instead, this extra hour, I find students are much more likely to attend. You can ask questions about your assignments, about your research proposal. We can do the end of chapter questions together. This is a really great chance for you to really make sure that you understand the information. Here's a quote from Harvard professor who says that learning is a two-step process. First, you must have some transfer of information. Second, you must make sense of that information by connecting it to your own experiences and organizing the information in your brain. I really believe that the flipped classroom approach allows for this two-step process and for higher order levels of learning to occur. But don't just take my word for it. Here's an article that was published in Educational Research Review. It describes the results of it is a meta-analysis. So a meta-analysis is a type of quantitative research where they've analyzed the results of many studies to look to see what are some patterns across those studies. So in this case, we've got the results from 174 studies looking at learning outcomes in the flipped classroom compared to a traditional classroom approach. And the conclusion that's drawn is that learning outcomes are higher in a flipped classroom approach. I think this is because there's that opportunity for repetition, as well as more opportunities for active learning and engaging in discussion with your peers and with the instructor. I hope you'll also agree and enjoy this approach as well. The one challenge, however, with the flipped classroom approach is that it's going to be up to you to find an hour in your schedule to watch these videos. So, this is your task right now. Pause the video, open up your calendar, and see if you can find a time that's regular in your week for you to watch these videos so that you can come to class prepared. Okay, so hopefully you paused your video and now you're back. We've chatted a little bit about the lecture component. Let's chat now about the seminar component. So, like I said before, you can think of these as writing workshops. I hope you think of your seminar as a safe place for you to ask questions, to talk with your TA, to talk with your peers, and to practice being able to communicate your ideas in writing. Scientific writing is a process that we can all get better at through practice. So your major assignment is going to be your research proposal. And the assignments, you'll look, if you notice the course outline and you see week to week, there's assignments each week, that you can think of these as stepping stones assignments that will get you ready for your research proposal. So you can get feedback from your TA and from your peers so that you can ultimately submit something that you can be proud of. So the research proposal we're going to talk about in more detail in weeks to come. You can also read about what's required, and there's a rubric there. There's some previous examples from previous students, some ideas. All of this is in Brightspace, so check it out. But just briefly, here is what the research proposal is and how it will work. So you're going to come up with an idea that you find interesting and that you want to learn more about. And this could be anything as long as it pertains to children and youth. Here's a photo from the back of my Sudoku book that suggests that Sudokus and doing word searches and crosswords make you smarter. This sort of piqued my interest to think, well, does it really? And in what ways and for whom? So that's the first step actually of your research proposal is coming up with a bigger idea that you're interested in. The second idea is going to Google Scholar to look to see what's been done before and importantly, what we still don't know about the issue. This is how you're going to take that big idea and hone it in to one original research question that hasn't been addressed before. You're going to propose your research question, you're going to develop your own hypothesis, which is a tentative answer to that question, and then you're going to lay out possible way that you could go about addressing that question. So you're going to describe how you would go about doing this using quantitative research methods. So who you would test, how you would test it, what you think you might find, and why those results might be important. So you're not going to actually do this research, you're going to propose something that you could do in the future. So we'll chat about that more in future weeks. I thought I would just end by telling you a little bit about me and what my research is. So the other hat that I wear at Brock is that I use quantitative research to better understand how the brain changes as we learn and as we grow and as we develop. I'm particularly interested in different ways that children can learn, and for kids that have special learning needs, how we can develop and implement evidence-based instructions and interventions to best meet their needs. So some of my research partners with Pastone Mental Health, where we're looking at the brain basis of attention control and how that relates to children's mental health. Another arm of my research is working with local school boards as they implement evidence-based interventions for children with reading disabilities. I'm the co-director of the CHYS Developmental Neuroscience Hub, so if any of this is interesting to you, please feel free to reach out. We're always looking for volunteers to help us out with our research. Outside of Brock, I spend most of my time with my family. It's my husband, Jeremy, who's a small business owner and a musician. My oldest son, Julian's now 16 and a budding musician himself, just learned to drive, so watch out. Michaela is now 8. She's an artist and loves animals. And William down there is 6 and may become a scientist himself. Here's our dog, Charlie. You might hear him barking sometimes in some of these videos. We live in Port Dalhousie, so if you ever run into me there, please feel free to say hi. So to summarize, in this quantitative research methods course, we've got a lecture component where you'll be learning content, and we're going to be doing it in a flipped classroom approach. In the seminars, that's where you're going to apply some of what you learn and develop your own scientific writing skills. I hope you enjoy this course.